Hello again, everybody. I'm back with quite a fun mission this time, the Yellow Comet Lab one. After this, I'll be able to build Neo-tanks as Yellow Comet. Apparently Orange Star didn't communicate anything about the Neo-tanks to Yellow Comet. Could have saved a lot of trouble if they'd just sent the plans over. Also, Adder, by implication, is only about 1/3 as skillful as Flak at destroying plans. Seemingly, in this game, there's no such thing as radio or telegraphs or any other form of long-distance communication. That's just about the only explanation for Orange Star not just sending over the Neo-tank plans or the lab location or anything like that. It's also the only way to explain the plot of the previous game at all. Any communication between the countries would have prevented the entire plot. No idea how COs communicate orders to their units. Speaking of COs, we get to choose our CO this time. Now we haven't seen Kanbei or Sensei before. I have seen a lot of people pick Sensei for this mission. I think that is a mistake. Kanbei is incredibly good here. Kanbei is a phenomenal CO in general. Sensei is great in multiplayer, but for the campaign, Kanbei is basically always better. In fact, Kanbei is better than just about everybody in the campaign all the time, with one exception. So we have an allied army. This is the first of several missions like that. They're a lot of fun. Sami is lousy for this mission. She has disadvantages and no advantages because there are no infantry for her side. Let's take a look at this interesting map. As you can see, it's a vertical strip with switchbacks on land. The enemy has a massive army, 27 units. Guarding all these switchbacks and bridges, they have lots of indirects, a decent number of directs too. A huge navy, a good amount of anti-air, and a small air force too. So no real weaknesses except that they have no bases. They could capture an airport if you get sloppy, and they'll often capture their port in the far north, but that comes later. Speaking of capturing, I'm going to start by building an infantry. Notice that it costs 1,200 instead of 1,000. Kanbei's units all cost 20% more than normal, but they all have plus 30% attack and defense. Even without thinking further, I'm sure you can see that is a good deal. It makes him an extremely good all-rounder. But defense in particular is so powerful that he ends up being absolutely amazing, one of the best COs in the entire game. I'll get into that bit by bit as we go along here. Well, to get to the nearby airport and also to cross the various switchbacks, I want to build a T-copter, and some infantry, and then I'll just be ready to end my turn. Now, Sami here has 3 scissors. Normally that would be quite formidable. Scissors are expensive elite units. But she's stuck in a pond somehow. She can't use her scissors to attack most of Adder's forces at all, only the ones he's dumb enough to put into range. But I can take out the rocket that is threatening her navy, and she's also useful for helping take out this tank that is threatening Kanbei's captures. That is probably her single biggest contribution to this mission, unfortunately. There's basically just one more useful thing for her to do. I want to distract and lure his scissors over here, so I'm going to put one of my units in range of them. Yeah, my paper's nothing to do, I'll put it over there. He stupidly wastes his CO power. Not only is the movement irrelevant to him this turn, but even the plus 10% defense that all CO powers give doesn't matter this turn, because it won't attack him at all. Heck, most of his units won't even be moving, let alone in an important direction. And he doesn't even bother attacking my infantry. The reason for that ties into how defense works. In this game, defense bonuses are additive. Kanbei has a 30% base bonus. Add to that 30% more defense for standing on top of a building. That makes 60%. Now a 2 HP tank would deal about 15% base damage to an infantry, with plus 2% max from luck. All of that gets scaled down by 60%, so at best case scenario he does 7% damage to me. So that's terrible. He's guaranteed to fail to do even 1 damage. And in return, he would himself get damage almost guaranteed. So I'm going to just ignore his tank and walk over there and start a capture. He can't even interrupt it. It's hopeless. Hopefully you're starting to see why Kanbei is amazing. Functionally, he's almost as good at capturing as Sami is. Now his attack range indicates he can attack the spot 2 spaces below the airport, but that's not true. That's counting his CO power bonus that will wear off before his next move. So I'm capturing and in position to do more capturing, and there I will end my turn, saving money. Ready for the clever bit? I'm going to move my scissors right in range of his rockets. Specifically, I want 1 in range of each one, and my third one able to shoot both. I'll stand one on this reef for the slight added defense bonus. And I'll position the third scissors over here where I can strike either rocket, whichever turns out to be more important. So he's been baited into exchanging fire and losing his rockets. My paper has nothing to do this turn, so I'll see if I can lure his scissors to come closer and waste their time. I'll stand right here, should be just barely in range. So if he wants to take a shot at me, he has to move into that corner spot, very isolated. That should assist Kanbei, otherwise the scissors can be a mild nuisance to him if they get to the wrong spot at the wrong time. So it probably seems very strange to be throwing away my scissors like that when they're so valuable. Number 1, they don't actually count toward my technique score, only the Yellow Comet army counts. If every single one of Sami's units dies, then I do lose, but as long as one lives, I'm okay. His luck was about average there, I think. The other thing to bear in mind is that my scissors ultimately play almost no role toward my strategic objective, capturing his HQ. To accomplish that, I have an unusual and clever strategy in mind. I will build no units other than bombers, a T-copter, and infantry. Nothing else. And that right there is incredibly powerful. It means almost none of Adder's army matters at all. The only ones that matter at all are his anti-air units, and his bomber and B-copter because they can interrupt or slow down some of my captures. Tanks, artillery, rockets, I don't care about those. Scissors, rocks, none of that matters to bombers. So if I build nothing but bombers, it's like 80% of his army is just removed. Definitely the best strategy for this mission. And Kanbei is by far the best of the 3 Yellow Comet COs at using bombers. I'll build an infantry over here to keep his tank from getting away easily. Complete some captures for more money. And his paper's chasing after my copter, but I'll just fly it on over to the beach, and he has to give up and go home. He can't get to it. Yet another demonstration of how terrible naval units are, especially compared to air units. So, I continue saving up for my first bomber and end my turn. He didn't actually move his scissors after my paper. So my paper is not in a great position, unfortunately, because I can't position it to the south of his bomber as I would have liked. Doing so would have both kept my paper out of range of one of his rockets and also potentially blocked him from getting his bomber down to interrupt my captures. But if I deal devastating damage to his rockets, they might just walk away and join each other, especially if it gets his superpower. We'll see. Sometimes, by the way, I've tried interrupting his mech capture instead of shooting one of his rockets. I don't think it's a very good idea, though. He doesn't really lose that much income from it, and he doesn't have much to spend his money on anyway. Anyway, I'm hoping that he'll join those 2 rockets because they're both at 1 HP. Clever move here. I'm going to use my CO power at this point. It's worthless on this map except that it gives it generic plus 10% defense, and that will help my paper take less damage from his bomber. Paper needs all the help it can get because it's a lousy unit commanded by a CO who's especially bad with it. Which is why I think Sami is probably the worst Orange Star CO to have on this mission. All I really want is to take down his air units, so my scissors are mostly irrelevant. About average luck there, I think. And with that I end Sami's turn. He does have his superpower now, so he can go and harass Kanbei. But he won't really do a very good job of it because again, Kanbei is so powerful. Even a bomber can't take out his infantry on cities very well. So worst case scenario is to slow down my capture of that airport by 1 turn. What I'm really hoping for is that he'll waste his copter attacking one of my scissors. That will set him up to take heavy damage from my paper and keep him out of Kanbei's hair. So he goes to capture that city, which is potentially beneficial to me. It keeps him a little bit further away from his port than he might otherwise be. Now Adder will try to interrupt me with a bomber, but watch this. Even a bomber can barely scratch Kanbei's infantry on a city. Crazy. So, he drives most of his forces over to fortify his lab, which functions like an HQ, so that's pretty smart. Ah, my plan worked. He went for one of my scissors. And he did so from a very good position for me, too. This is ideal. So, what to do now? Well, I'm going to build myself my first bomber. It will prove far more effective than his. I'll get aboard the T-copter to go over and take the next airport, get closer to his HQ that way. Now his range is not as big as it appears. It will be 2 spaces smaller than that because his superpower will wear off. So I am safe flying on up here. And over here I'll just keep right on capturing. My infantry will run down his tank and kill it. Humiliating. The only remaining target there really is his APC, which is not very important, but I might as well go and attack it. Killing it will deny his bomber refuels. Let me calculate some stuff about money here. So, I've got 3,600 currently. Over the next 3 turns, I will gain 13,000 the next turn and then 14,000 the next 2 turns. So, in 3 turns, I should be at 44,600. In 2 turns, I'll only be at 30,600. And with a bomber plus a T-copter costing 32,600, that means I can't get both of them. Unfortunately, I have been hoping to pick up one of each. That's okay. I don't really need another T-copter anyway. It's a nice to have, but it's not at all needed. So, Sami's turn. So, I'm going to try one more unusual thing. I'm going to drive my scissors over to the northeast. I'm still hoping that I can trick his scissors into coming back to shoot at me. And then my paper will stand on that reef for defense and attack his copter. With first strike and a bit of defense, paper is not totally worthless at killing B-copters. A unit half its price. Of course, if he got first strike, my paper would be dead. Okay, my other pair of scissors will just drive on in. I want to take out his missile, the only thing that really matters for Kanbei's strategy. Taking out his rocket could be a minor help, but it's really not important. Okay, Adder, what do you have planned? Let's see it. So as expected, he takes that shot, but that barely scratches my scissors, and more importantly, I don't care about them. They don't matter anymore. They have plenty of firepower for taking down a missile. And he continues to try, and fail to interrupt my infantry down south. He is going to run out of bombs before he kills one of my infantry. All he's really done so far is cost me about 1,000 gold, by delaying the capture one turn. Okay, again, he goes for the scissors, and again, that's great for me. They are far more useful as distractions than any other purpose. But sadly, not a good enough distraction to distract his scissors back to the eastern side. I wonder what made that work the first time but not afterward. So, I complete capturing that airport despite the bomber attacking. Pretty crazy stuff. Now, I want to use my T-copter efficiently to get my infantry in range of his next airport as quickly as I can. It looks like whether I keep flying or drop off early and have the infantry walk, it'll take me 3 turns to start capturing, as long as I drop off into a good spot. So, dropping here saves me fuel and allows the T-copter to go back and pick up other people. That will also help lure his paper back south, which I want. I want to be able to take it out with one of my bombers. I think he'd been retreating back up north because he had no possible targets. Now he's got one. Now, what to do with my infantry? I can have some of them shoot the APC, I can also have them split up and go other ways. Some of them can be picked up by the transport copter, some of them can help finish up capturing the port maybe. And one should suffice for just walking up and shooting the APC until it dies. It's not, as I said, very important anyway, it just has the potential to refuel his bomber, basically. As before, no other kind of unit is useful, I'll just save my money for bombers. Now, what should Sami do? I'll start by taking out his rocket. Easy enough even with my weakened scissors. And then I'll go ahead and cripple his missile. That will give Kanbei a free hand in the area to fly his planes through. My paper will take out their copter, of course. And that leaves very little for Sami to do for the rest of the mission. This might give Adder his CO power, by the way, but that still doesn't really matter much. Oh, it wasn't even enough for that. See, every time you use your CO power or your superpower, it costs you 20% more to charge it up again in the future. The stars and the gauge don't really reflect that very well, so it's wildly misleading as usual. Oh, and note that this 20% does not compound, it's just 20% more over the base each time. I'll move here to help shell the APC, and that's about it. So now that the capture is finished, he switches targets to one he can hurt more. But that hardly matters. I don't need that guy anyway, his whole job is just to kill an APC slowly. Not exactly an important role, so it doesn't really matter much if he takes a little bit of damage. For some strange reason, his paper is in full retreat. That's inconvenient for me, because it means I'll need to fight them around his other cluster of anti-air. But I'll just cruise on up, full speed ahead. I'll start capturing this port, which I think will distract his bomber back. And I'll build another bomber. And I want to send this T-copter back to pick up somebody else. Not super high priority, but it will be good to have another infantry. Either of the full HP ones will do, it doesn't make a big difference in this circumstance. So I'll take this shot while I've got it, and then, anticipating that his bomber will change targets, I'll send my other infantry over to the west to reinforce the capture. And I'll just save my money and end the turn again. So, Sami takes the obvious shot, chips away at the APC with my weakened scissors, one step closer to clearing a path through for Kanbei. And more importantly, as I've said, if that APC goes down, then it can't help his bomber, which will run out of ammo and fuel at some point. I think it's more cost effective to let his unit just die, or become useless, than it is for me to actually build a counter to it. Will this attack give him his CO power? Looks like no. They make the CO power gates for the enemy much easier to see in later games, a good change. So I'm going to try to drive my scissors back on up north, and maybe I'll be able to lure him over here and do like a naval fight where I can get some more use out of them. We'll see. What I really want is to pull him away from the airport so I can just capture the thing. He's close to getting his port soon, which I don't want to deal with. Now, the more damage you take, the more your defense from terrain does get lessened. So his bomber is getting more and more effective with every shot. That's a crucial tip for Kanbei to remember. It is very strange and inconvenient that he's pulling back his paper rather than having them stand and fight at some point. Well, he has slowed down my capture, but he can't kill my guy next turn. And so with one last clever maneuver, I'll be able to complete the capture anyway. His mech's not even worth slowing down for. Full speed ahead. I think I'll give up one space of movement for the teacup to get it onto the airport and get it refueled for free. Flying back and forth a lot, you can burn a lot of fuel on this mission. And that extra score will almost certainly not matter at all. It's not really going to be the limiting factor in how fast I win. That will come down to killing his anti-air units and clearing a safe spot. And Kanbei will prove his excellence here, wiping out a paper in one shot. Kanbei's bombers are so good that they can instant kill even all of his anti-air units and his papers. Sensei can't do that. At best, your cost reduction compared to Kanbei will get you like +1 bomber, but none of them are anywhere near as good at instant killing things as his guys are. Now I could back away from the airport and go capture the southern city. But if I do that and then his scissors flee, then I'm a turn delayed getting to the airport. I think I'm going to gamble on them fleeing from my bomber and just stay put. I don't really need the money that much anyway. Worst case scenario, just kind of stand around for a turn or two until I drive off his scissors with my bombers as they arrive. Okay, Sami's turn. I'll just take some shots at his mech. Cripple it so it can't capture anything. I'm anticipating that his APC will retreat after the next time it gets hit, so I'll drive this battleship over here to be ready to shell it on the city. So when he retreats, he'll be next to my battleship that's been shooting at him, but it'll be in range of another one. Unless I wipe it out with good luck, which I guess is maybe possible, not sure. Doesn't really matter much either way. Sami is otherwise totally unimportant. I end the turn. So this finished port is bad for me. That gives him a chance to get paper out, and he might do so in large numbers. As I foresaw, he couldn't kill my infantry, and that means that with another maneuver, the capture will be mine. He, meanwhile, is running out of fuel and ammo. His bomber is just about done, and it hasn't really contributed much so far. So I'm going to do what is sometimes called a join capture, although capture join would be a more accurate moniker for the technique, because you should always do the capture first. Joining ends the turn after all. You don't want to waste your chance to get some more capture points done. Anyway, next turn I can finish the capture easily. Well, unfortunately, he did not retreat his scissors, so I guess I did waste one turn of the infantry there. But that's alright, I'll just send his scissors to the bottom of the ocean. Again, basically in one hit with decent luck because Kanbei. I guess it does free my infantry up to capture this city, but I mean, it doesn't really matter, I'll just switch to the airport next turn anyway. Other than that, I'll just advance my bomber full speed toward his HQ. And I'll build yet another bomber. And advance. Okay, turn over. I really don't understand why he retreated this paper when there were targets he could go after. But whatever, I'll win despite that. Sami will wreck his APC so that it can't refuel his unfortunate bomber. I'm sure that he'll try to retreat it shortly. Down goes another target. By the way, Sami doesn't count toward your power score either. It's very important to know. Units she kills do not help you at all. So to get perfect power, I need to kill 3 guys in one turn with Kanbei, because the enemy only has 27 units. Unless I'm dumb enough to let him build 4 new ships, of course. So, once again, his superpower just won't really matter. It is super easy to play around if you just remember to check his gauge. And he'll frequently use it with absolutely nothing at all in range. Superpowers give the same plus 10% defense bonus as every other power, by the way. No change there. Okay, he's retreating back toward the other APC, I guess. Oh, nope. He didn't actually even want to refuel it. He had his chance, but he chose not to. Very strange. Well, Adder, that was your one shot. Because Kanbei is going to bring it down in one shot. Okay, he can't really do anything for his bomber. He could try to put it into his paper, but I mean, he'll never get there. Although actually that would even be good, because it would then allow me to kill his bomber with my bomber while it's inside the paper. Down goes the mech. That's 2 units killed so far this turn. I would love to run in there and take out his paper. But I can't do it safely. Let's see. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. So he cannot actually threaten my bomber next turn. So I will just fly over and wreck his scissors. You know, I guess his power did actually help him a little bit by keeping that thing alive. Not that it matters very much. He can once again slow my capture of this airport down, but he can't stop it. Again, Kanbei, so good. Capturing even with like a bomber and battleship attacking you. And I'll just keep driving up toward my real goal of capturing his lab. The missile will prove pretty useless once I get about one more bomber in there. But for the time being, I just need to sit tight, get my bombers into position, and save up money for more. Let's see, so we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I back up by 1, then in that case he's out of luck. Alright, Sami, you have nothing else to do. Turn over. It does actually make for a fun fight, by the way, to try to go for a conventional fight up the bridges with her supporting you, but it's really not the smart strategy. He's got enough money to start printing paper, and that could be a little bit of a problem. It would slow me down a few turns. It will necessitate one extra bomber or so to keep them in check. If you're luckier than I was, he won't even go for the port capture. Oh, very lucky. He just blocked himself like an idiot for some reason. What a chump. Alright, we're getting closer. Closer. He's nowhere near his CO power, so I don't need to worry about that. I can just advance as far as his range currently says. Adder's power certainly can cause problems for new players. It makes him a lot more dangerous than Flak, but once you know how it works, it's easy to play around it. Next turn I can build a bomber right here in the north, which is more time efficient than building it in the south and flying it up in the meantime. Just in case I need backup for some reason, I'll create a T-copter there, but it doesn't really matter much. Okay, another turn over. And Sami's turn is over too. Kanbei don't care. How many bombs does that thing even have left? A very reckless move. Don't know why he did it. Fascinating. One bomb left. And not enough fuel to even move a full turn's worth of space. His bomber only really cost me about 4,000 gold. I think I'm going to block up his port while the getting is good, before I can build another paper there. I'm willing to take some damage from an anti-air to do so if I have to. The missile can't shoot me. Missile's so good. What a worthless, worthless unit. Let's get this paper wet, see how it holds up. This thing is worth 18,000, so killing it gives me 9,000 worth of power stars. 1 star exactly. I'm wondering if I can get to my samurai spirit. Close, but I think no cigar. Which is a shame. It would have been pretty sweet to have that and have my bomber just obliterate his anti-air when he attacked me. But I mean, you can see my 3 bombers went in and just ripped up all his anti-air units without any difficulty whatsoever. He can damage but not even kill one of my bombers, because Kanbei. And next turn if I need to, I can get in even more bomber. There's no way back from the situation for him, it's just a matter of how fast I can win from here. Mass bombers is definitely my favorite way to play, especially with Kanbei. A unit that can instantly kill everything, even all but one of its counters. I'll drive my teacup around toward this western side, where I think it'll be easier to get a safe drop-off point. Once again, he uses his power. Once again, I don't care. That infantry is no longer relevant. It has served its purpose. So look at that. This bomber has dropped its entire complement of bombs without killing a single unit. The funds that it cost him by slightly delaying captures were cheaper than what I would have spent building an anti-air unit to beat it. Crazy. So even when he attacks first, he can't win, even with his power. Who thought this CO was balanced? Well, I will go ahead and capture that thing, I guess. And, sure I'm crushing him, but am I really crushing him enough? I don't think so. Let me just turn on God mode over here. So this turn, anything I attack is going to die, and nothing can damage me, really. If I had any units on HQs or mountains, they would be literally invincible. Now what I would like would be to drop off my infantry on this turn too. The bomber will take out its natural target while also making way for the T-copter. I could just drop my infantry off on a city and count on this 90% resistance to all damage to save it, but there's no advantage to doing so really. So again, you can just see how effective missiles are, right? What great units. His artillery can't hit me in this position, his rockets can't hit me. If he moved his missile, then he could hit me, but he's not smart enough to do that. So down goes another tank, just clearing out future threats and making room. I'm going to take a minor risk attacking his artillery. I probably won't kill it. If I did, it would make room for his recon to walk up and attack my infantry, but he'd barely hurt it at all. Remember, even luck is reduced by defense bonuses. I'll drive up my spare infantry just in case I'm overlooking something somehow. I think you can see, by the way, that it's quite viable to win by wiping out all of Adder's units. Just build bombers, you can wipe them out pretty easily. It's a little bit faster to take his HQ, but you can wipe them out. All his units die in one shot to bombers, pretty much. Alright, down goes his bomber. Hilarious. By the way, losing units to being out of fuel does not give you any power gauge, unlike having units take damage normally. My T-copter's almost invincible. Now, one interesting thing is that as of this turn, I no longer really care if he prints any paper out of his port. It can't stop my infantry, and that's all I really care about. There's no way he'd be smart enough to build the scissors in this situation, and even that wouldn't really save him. All I care about is killing off that missile and keeping him from attacking me with anything. At least anything strong enough to do at least 1 point of damage to it and delay it. It might not be possible to get enough stuff cleared off this time. We'll see. If I'm lucky with this roll, then it will be possible. Even on a city, I have a coin toss chance of instant killing guys. Nope. Okay, that delays me by 1 turn, I think. Ultimately, that's okay. But it really is lousy design how many fights come down to a coin flip chance of either instant killing or not instant killing. You know, it occurs to me the missile could actually take a shot. It would do almost no damage, but it could do it. But I'll just stand there, don't care. You know, at this point I really could have sped things up a little bit by skipping some of what I'm doing here and just only doing the important things. But I just like maneuvering around to find the perfect way to win things. No totally safe drop-off point in this case. But that doesn't even really matter. The spare infantry is not needed. So I have lost a grand total of 0 units. End the turn. You know, I'm wondering about going after that rock with Sami's scissors, and seeing if I can win faster than I can win by HQ capturing that way. Or on the same turn, rather, just to show off. You can win by wipeout quite efficiently, just skip the T-copter. Oh, he didn't even take the shot. He finally had a chance to get a shot with a missile and he didn't even take it. Even when you get first strike on Kanbei, you just can't win most of the time. If he's on decent terrain, that is. Again, the terrain really stacks up well with his base defense. Again, my perfectionistic side makes me want to capture even though it doesn't actually serve any purpose. This is some overkill here. Running stuff over with bombers is just fun. I'm fond of air units in general, and bombers are just the kings of all units in this game, at least at fighting the AI. Down goes his useless recon. I guess my bomber's kind of low on fuel. Did fly all the way across the map, but I've got plenty left. Enough for the required turns. He really had to do a lot of flying back and forth to exhaust his. Bombers and fighters are, as I mentioned, some of the few units who can actually run out of the fuel, because they burn 5 per turn, which is pretty hefty, even though they do have a good base of 99. But you know, the triple whammy of burning 5 fuel per turn, long movement ranges, and not being able to refuel in cities makes them run out now and then. Oh, you know, he has that lander I forgot about. So I'm not actually positioned to wipe him out before I can win by lab capturing. Oh well, it was a silly, pointless idea anyway, so I'll just go for that lab capture. Short turn there, Adder. But just to demonstrate, if you want to instant kill something, Kanbei is your man. This kind of thing is yet another reason why naval units almost never see play. Air units just dominate them in every possible way. Alright, that's a wrap. Not my fastest win for this chapter, but easily into the 300 point S range. And Yellow Comet Neotanks will be perhaps the best Neotanks of all. Imagine Kanbei Neotanks. They don't take damage, they kill everything. This is not, unfortunately, the last time that Sami will get herself into a stupid fix and be surrounded by enemy units. Jeez, we know her from the previous war. Sonya certainly knows her. They were colleagues in school, and Sonya makes fun of her for not being as good at schoolwork as Sonya was, because Sonya is a jerk, and I guess has a lack of real successes to point to. Unlike Sami, who won a lot of stuff in the last war. Very true. Kanbei's army now has Neotanks. Well, we obliterated Adder there. And these Neotanks can be handy in both of the next Yellow Comet missions, so I think it was a good choice to do this one first. I highly recommend tackling the missions in this order. Both of the next missions are quite fun, despite one of them being a Fog of War mission. Not sure which one I'll do first. Well, until then, have a great day, everyone.